Good morning, everyone. Hello. Happy Wednesday. It's Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art, and I'm popping in today on my page as well as my Craft Round the Clock segment. And we are going to paint a fun little sunset on this pink canvas today. So, say hello when you come in, and welcome everybody. It's so nice to see everybody on a Wednesday morning. I'd love to have you tell me where you're watching from and say hello. And I'm going to bring you up on my computer as well. So I try to keep an eye on the questions and comments as they scroll by on my phone, but I can peek over at my laptop as well. But remember, I always come back and answer all of your questions, even after the fact. So if I miss something, please not to worry. So good morning. I know it's a little sunshiny behind me there, but I think you'll be able to see what I'm working on fine. Hey, Sally, good morning. Nice to see you here again. And Lois, good morning. Nice to see you guys. I thought we'd paint a little bit of a fun, kind of a sunset idea. I've painted it before, and if Charlotte, when you pop in, we did a little segment for you. It's kind of a little sunset idea. We have some sand, some water. We won't be painting the flamingo, but we'll paint some palm trees. It's a little technique I like to use. I start on a pink canvas. I just painted pink. It isn't pink when I got it. Hi, Tracy. Good morning. Hey, Cynthia. Thank you, guys. Virginia. Thanks for popping in. We're going to paint some fun, a fun little sunset on this canvas pad this morning. And you're going to see how easy it is. Even if you're not a painter, I will show you. It's pretty simple to get started. If you have an inkling that you might want to paint, you're in the right place. Hi, Nancy. So I just have a pad of canvas paper I'm going to paint on this morning. I do this a lot of times for demos and things. It's simply white canvas paper, but you can certainly mount it on a foam core board and frame it too, so it's not something that has to be just for practice. But sometimes you feel a little bit like, I'm not ruining a whole canvas, you know, sometimes you're so afraid to start a new piece of paper. Just do it, because you can always paint over it, so don't worry. Hi, Anita. Thank you guys for popping in. Let me know where you're watching from. So I simply just took some quinacridone magenta, just an acrylic paint. I use fluid acrylics, and I just painted this canvas a few minutes ago. And I'm going to paint a sunset on it for you. So let me jump in and get going. All I'm going to do is give myself a little chalk line for my horizon. I don't need anything else really. I'll freehand some palm trees on there. Just something to keep in mind when you're designing and painting is you just don't want to split your canvas right in half ever. You go a little lower with the horizon, a little higher. Just don't cut that canvas off right in half. I'm going to go a little lower for my sand and my ocean. So I'm going to go a little low. So I'm just going to give myself a horizon line there, and then I'll do some water, sand. So simply a few chalk marks. Chalk because it erases easily. If I get it in pencil, I change my mind, it might be harder to remove. And sometimes if it's a soft pencil, the lead gets all smushy into your paint. So, hey, Tanya and Shauna. Remember, I'll come back and answer any questions if you have them as I go. I'd love to know if you are a painter, if you like to paint, or maybe if you just want to start painting. You're a crafter and you're creative, and we all have that creative soul. But sometimes you might want to express it in art too. So I can show you baby step by baby step to get started. You can start simply and you can learn to paint. It's not something you need to be born with that talent. You don't need to draw a straight line, all those things we've always heard. Just jump in and have fun with it. So I'm going to use just fluid acrylics, craft paints, whatever you might have, some inexpensive acrylic brushes. Nothing that's going to cost a lot to jump in and get started. So let me pop in, and I'll kind of hold it up as I go. I know this is a difficult angle sometimes to see at, but I'm going to hopefully you can see what I'm doing, and like I said, I'll try to hold it up as much as I can. Thank you. Hello, Natalie. Thank you, guys. All right, so I'm going to start up in my sky, and I'm going to work down. Basically, that's how I work, from back to forward, dark to light sometimes, but I'll keep me from putting my hand in my paint. If I'll start up here, I'll probably just paint in a little bit of a sun. It's going to be a little sunset-y scene, you know, something like this, but I want to get an idea where that light area will be. So I might just put my sun here, and I just blocked it in kind of quickly, just with a little white rough circle shape. And so I want to get a little bit more yellow around that, so I'm just going to take my brush into some of my yellows. What I've got out for colors is very basic. I can mix a lot of my colors from these few colors. So again, if you want to get started, you don't have to go out and buy every color under the sun. You can take your primaries and pretty much mix anything that you want. So I'm going to get right over there. Now, a little technique I've been playing with lately, and I kind of like the way it looks, is sort of, can you see how my sky and my sand are really like little square brush strokes? I call it broken color. I don't use it for the water, but I just kind of incorporate that. So what I'm doing when I'm doing that today, if you don't like that blocky graphic look, you can do the same exact thing, but just blend a little more, and you'll get the same kind of a sunset. Charlotte, I was just saying I'm kind of going to go expand on our little broken color sunset and paint a little painting for everyone this morning. I figured this was a little bigger than what we've been doing, so you can probably see it a little better. So flat brush, I wipe it off in between. If I have to go from a dark to a lighter color, I rinse it. But if I'm just going from these light colors to my darker colors, I'll probably just wipe it off on my paper towel. All right, so let's just get some yellow tones. And can you see what I'm doing simply is just using these flat brush strokes. I just like the way those determined, like mark making, it's a little abstract looking, and I really am just using my flat brush, and I'm going and making flat brush strokes. And I'm just going to start blending them into the other colors. I'm going to grab a little orange here. I actually could mix that, but I have some handy. So I'm going from yellow to oranges to a little red, and then I'm going to go into purple and pink just because. Now, another thing to keep in mind is you don't have to have it look exactly like a real sunset or a real scene. Take those, what you see, as inspiration, and then when you let go and stop trying to look at your reference photo and get everything perfectly realistic is when you start to have fun, when you're painting shows that you're having fun and it's joyful to you. That's what it's all about. You can take a photograph if you want a photograph of the scene. So really just make it your own by just looking at it. And it's taken me a long time to get there. I sort of always was trying to get it look exactly right. And then if someone said, oh wow, that looks just like a photograph, you think that that's a compliment. But really now I don't want it to look like a photograph. I want it to look like my interpretation of a scene. So I'm just making those little strokes. I noticed my middle of my sun there looked a little bit too yellow, so I just simply dried off my brush, took some white, and just made some little strokes there. I've got yellow, I'm going into orange. I'm going to go out a little further, and I'm going to get more into the reds maybe. I might just try pink instead of red, and I like that better. Sometimes I really love this quinacridone magenta as opposed to using a red. So can you see my paint is wet here, and it's blending pretty easy. Acrylic paint dries sort of fast, so you have to paint a little quickly, but this is still wet enough for me to just lightly go with my little strokes, and it's blending as I go. I'm using a light touch, not a lot of paint, so that I can get that orange to blend a little with my pink. And so if I'm working rather fast, that's why, because I want to get it down. And I do go back sometimes when it's dry and put some really precise little brush strokes, but for now I really just want to cover that background. I'm going to go out a little further with that pink so that it's a wet area. I can start blending in some purples, and I'm going to show you how easily you can make purple just from these colors that we have here. I'm going to pull you up on my computer so in case I go off screen with something, I kind of keep my eye on myself, but you guys let me know too. Hi Cindy. Deb, I'm in Florida still. I'm in Florida a little later than I usually would be because we do open up the camp in Maine and Mother's Day weekend, but I'm sort of waiting to hear. I'm an alternate for Mayfair, which is a big art show here on Mother's Day weekend. It's really quite a high-end, beautiful, unbelievable show from what I understand. And I didn't get accepted to be in, but I didn't get rejected. I'm an alternate, so if someone drops out at the last minute, which I would hear very last minute, I will be here for that show. And then I'm flying up to North Carolina on the 20th for a plein air event, and then I'm going to go up to Maine when I'm done. So yeah, I'll be here till the end of the month. I almost hate to leave. I love Maine, and I cannot wait to get there, but I'll tell you, I am having so much fun in Florida. It has been a great winter. So I've gone out a little further. I know it's a lot more of the magenta. But if I just take this brush with the magenta on it now and just go into my blue, I'm going to get a nice dark purple. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to, it's very dark compared to this. So you can see how I can quickly sort of soften it in. But if it's not budging, I'm just going to take a little more of the magenta. So I'm just going to mix that, and I'm always just kind of making flat brush strokes. And like I said, I don't know why I started painting this way a little bit when I was plein air painting. And I like that look sometimes for skies. I'll show you some other examples once we get this underway. I was just thinking how I come on so quick all the time, you guys, and I hardly even plan. I knew I wanted to do a painting this morning that was a little bigger for you, but I didn't really plan what, so I was thinking about these little sunset paintings I've been painting and thought that might be kind of fun for you to see. So I want to get more of a pink now, so I'm just mixing white with my magenta. And I'm just going to go out and finish this sky with some pinks and purples. And I'm going to work kind of quick. I could go to a bigger brush and get more strokes done as well. I'm using flat brushes, like I said, for this exercise because I like the way I get those little bits of, square bits of color. This is a little small, to be honest. I think I'll switch to a little bigger brush because I've got all this area to fill in. And I could be there forever with that little one. So I'm just going to get some dark in the background here. It's more blue than purple, so I'll just go in with some more magenta. If I get a base on quick that could be wet, it'll give me time to do my little strokes. The most important part with the sunset is fine. So let's just get some of this covered. And you can see that what I like about the magenta in the background is I can leave little bits of it showing. And I try to remember to do that. And sometimes I kind of get gung-ho and I'm painting away and I sort of forget. But I do try to leave some of that showing here and there. Having that pink, everyone asks me when I'm painting, why do I have that pink? I always underpaint when I'm doing my oil paintings. Usually I would use a red. Started using the magenta and I really like the way it shows up under most anything. Green grass, blue skies. I love to have that little pink start, and it also just gives, the white of the canvas is gone, and so it's a little bit easier to start without feeling like you got overwhelmed by that big white canvas. So I'm taking those same colors now, and I am just going to, because you can see if it's wet, I can make those nice strokes, and they sort of blend. And I just want to do some that are pink. And I've lost my pink because I've used it all. So let's get a little more magenta out. I want to show you something over here too when I get 1 second, because I don't know if you saw, I was on Monday this week as well, a little extra segment. And I painted some little wooden mushrooms from Michael's, and I sat down and finished some more yesterday, so I'm dying to show you those. I made them as little fairy house mushrooms. Super cute. They were in the spring section and they were 40% off. So here we have a bit of a sky. Now I'm going a little bit rougher, not as picky as I would probably do if I had more than 45 minutes, but let me just blend this little area out now. It looks a little bit staggered, so I'm going to go back to those colors I had, kind of the oranges, and I'm just going to softly bring those out just so it looks like it's a nice transition from the sunset in the yellows out to the rest of the sky. And if you're just popping in, it's sort of this idea. See the little broken color sunset there? I've done it that way where the sun is really defined, and then I've done it this way where it's just kind of a little glow, which I kind of think I like that way better. And I'm going from pink into some yellow, so I will wash my brush out now. Hi Mary, thank you so much for sprinkling. Thank you guys for being here. I have so much fun when I'm painting with you all. It's just a great way to start the day, I think. And I encourage you all to, I have the links in my description for Craft Round the Clock. If you are not a follower, that is a fantastic site to see all the creatives working every day, every 45 minutes. You've got somebody starting a new project. What could be better for us that love to craft and paint and be creative? Alrighty, so I'm gonna kind of leave that way. You get the idea. And you know what I say? Whenever I say I'm gonna leave that like that, I go back and I do like 2 more things. But that's basically what I do for a sky. And water, I don't use that broken color technique. I like to have the water going horizontal because it's water, so that kind of almost gives your eye the impression, well, that's water now. And it's fun to just streak all those colors back and forth, and then when I get down to the sand, I'll go back to that broken color technique. Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. That sounds like a fabulous place, Margie. Hi, Barb. Hello, guys. It's so nice to see you here on Wednesday morning. If you guys do not follow me, I'm Cheryl from Tinker's Cart Art. You could go right up above and give me a follow. I would appreciate that. As well as all the other crafters that you see. If someone signs in and has a comment, please, you guys come in as your business. I don't mind. And I would love for you to follow my fellow crafter around the clock creatives. It really helps us a lot simply by giving us a follow. It's really an easy thing to do. So I'm going to get a little bit wider brush. The watercolors, I like to use kind of a tealy color more than just the dark blue. So I simply take some blue and green and I get a nice dark teal. It's a beautiful shade. I love that teal. I use teal and pink in like so many paintings. So I'm kind of just going to define with some dark where I'm going. For the most part, I'm going to base in the color, just getting some color with the flat of my brush, so I'll get some nice wide strokes here. And I'm going to finish it up with some fine strokes, but using that same big brush just on the chisel edge, and I'll get some fine little lines. So I'm going to paint upside down a little bit here so that you can kind of see. It won't be perfect, but you're going to get the idea. So dark blue, with a dark green, I'm just streaking it across. I'm going to dry the brush off and take a little white. And because this is wet, I'm going to get different shades of that color now. Just going back and forth. Sometimes, like I said, I'll just use the chisel edge. I can get a nice thin line with the chisel edge of that brush if I need to. Well, thank you, Courtney. I appreciate that. I like to follow everybody too. Everybody does something different. I've seen so many things I've done or not done, learned so much, and so many things I want to try. You can see how nice and thin I can get those strokes. So now it's mostly blue-green, but I like to, like I said, leave a little bit of that pink showing, but if I lose it, and I'm not going to say it's cheating because it's my own whatever I want to do, I take a little pink and I streak that in. So I can get some pink in there, and that turns a little purple, which is kind of nice. Let's see, some lime green is nice. Green with a tiny bit, yellow with a tiny bit of green and a little white. I'll get a nice lime green I can streak through there. I just want to put through the water a lot of the colors that are in the sky because it would be reflected down into the water, right? I might want to get the reflection of the sunset in the water, so I could take, I'm just going for another smaller square brush and just take those colors I'm using there and just kind of streak it back and forth here. I'm going to come back when that's dry and get it a little bit more yellow. It's turning a little green now for me, but it's a little bit of a reflection. And again, chisel edge of the brush, I can get, excuse me, some nice thin lines. And I just go back and forth. If I've lost my dark, I can go right back in with just some very dark blue. So as many little square brush strokes I have in the sky, down here I'm doing the same thing with the colors, but thinking water and just going back and forth. And then I'll finish with some little white caps. And you know what I love to do in my paintings now is see the tiny little dots. I just take a little stylus or a toothpick, put those little white dots, and they are just like little sparkles. It's really just a simple, tiny little technique, but boy, it really works. And I'm going to take just white now, and I'm just going to streak it across here and there. And this could be a very calm sea. You would just have these little white streaks where I will come after and add some little sparkles. But if you wanted to very easily make it look like some waves, same brush, I'm just taking a little more white paint just on one corner. And I'm not sure I could do, let me do one right side up. I know how it'll come out, but I try some that's a little closer for you. I sort of just go ahead and I press a little bit more and I go lighter and press, and it gets to looking like a little wave is coming through here and just breaking. One day soon we'll do a little segment with just waves, because waves are a whole other ballgame, but so fun. So I've got a little extra paint on the corner of my brush, and if I start to drag it but then press a little more, I can make it look a little like some white caps. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit. Then I'll put some little more white highlights in there and some pink, some yellow for the sunset, but that's basically, we've got water and we've got kind of a sunset there already. Sand, I start and I do sand, and it's a little darker maybe than the beautiful white sand that you see on some of the beaches, but that doesn't mean you can't go and get them very light. I go a little bit of a yellow ochre color into an ivory color and a little white, but depending on what you're painting, you might want a bright white sand as well. And again, I'm going back to my big square brush, and I'm going to start by just getting some of those square rectangle shaped to cover up some of the white, but trying to remember to leave some, because honestly I do forget sometimes. Just wipe my brush off, go into, this is more of an ivory. I like the way it picks up the wet yellow ochre color now, so that gives me even more shades. So what's nice about mixing on my palette as I go, or working wet and wet, is the colors are mixing and you're coming up with a lot of different shades without really trying. And it just looks more natural, and it just gives you, your painting is a little more interesting if you have some different shades. So basically that's how I do the sand. I would just keep building it up a little bit now. I might just get a little lighter, I might add a little white to that ivory. And as I get closer to the top layer, I'm a little more, I don't know what the word, not particular, but a little more, I just know right where I want to put the strokes. I'm just put them down, lay them down, and go. And like I said, it's acrylic paint. Don't worry. This could dry and I could paint it completely over if I didn't like it. So it's just that sort of a look for my sand. Smaller brush, you'd have smaller little marks. And I can go back with the darker again if I feel like I've lost it. And this is just a quick kind of a representation of how I do this. Where are we at for time? We've got plenty of time. We're here till 10. Deliberate. Thank you, Charlotte. Deliberate. Every time I do this with you guys, I forget that word. Gosh. Anyhow, let that dry a minute. I'm going to put palm trees in there. But let me show you the little mushrooms from Monday. I just think they came out so cute. Sometimes things come out, you know, I'm not thrilled with them. But these I love. And you can always go back and look at my segment for Monday and see the recording. These were a bag of wooden mushrooms from Michael's, a little net bag, and they are in the spring section. Hi, Aunt Rosie, I'm glad you're watching. I was just thinking about you. I have to give you a call and catch up, and I miss you. So anyways, these are the little, all of them came for $9.95, but it was 40% off, and they were a really nice wood. I didn't have to sand or anything, so I painted them as little fairy houses. They came alive when I put a little bit of the satin gloss varnish on them, and I just think they'd be fun all as a little grouping. Stick one in a plant, put some next to something. I had them, this one painted as a fairy door on the segment, and the others I painted as mushrooms, but I'll tell you, I had to go back and add doors to them all because I thought they were adorable. So you could find them at Michael's, and if you get them and you paint them, I would love to see yours. I think they're adorable. They're so cute. All right, put those aside. I'm going to base in some palm trees, but I'm also going to try to pop in and kind of let you know what I've been up to too. I have some things going on, and I wanted to show you. They are adorable, Anita. I know, and mushrooms are so popular again. I loved them in the 70s. I love them now. Let's paint some palm trees real quick. I am going to just use, I'm going to get some brown out. I didn't get brown out, so I'm going to get I sometimes just use burnt sienna all the time, and then if I add Payne's Gray to it, it gets to be like a burnt umber, like a dark brown. Burnt sienna is more of a red brown, which I really like that color. But I want to start it dark, and you could simply now go and just do the silhouettes of flamingos, trees, anything you want, just in a darker shade. You know how you've seen the very dark silhouettes. I'm not crazy about black in my paintings, but Payne's gray or something, dark blue. I usually want a little color on mine, not just that black silhouette look. So I'm making a darker tree with darker colors, but I do want a little bit of the dark green in there, and a little bit of highlight maybe on them as well. So palm trees are really cool. I'm just going to use my flat brush. I am going to just start it there, a little pressure, and then I bring it up and I sort of twist the brush so it gets to be a little thinner. And I always want threes. Threes is kind of like your magic number sometimes, so I'm going to put 3 trees. I don't want just one on each side. I just want, I don't know why it works, but it works. So there are our stems. Our stems, I always call them stems, our trunks. Now, this is where you could go with your dark and just do it all the silhouette. But I want to put a little bit in there, just a little highlight. And I'm just going back over these now to get a second coat on there. Acrylic paint is kind of thin, especially the craft paints, so a lot of times we'll have to put a couple coats on things. But that is going to be our trees. I love palm trees, they're so simple. So for the tops, I just start them in a very dark, dark green, almost a black green. Payne's gray with a little of my green gives me a nice dark green, maybe a little blue thrown in. I just want it really dark. I paint from dark to light most times. I love it when you get dark at a mid-tone and then really pop on those highlights at the end. And these guys, you could sketch it with your chalk, your little palm fronds if you need to, but I sort of just kind of do this sort of thing. And it's enough. And that just gives me a little bit of a skeleton or an outline of my palm trees. This one's kind of down below here. Using the brush for the most part on the chisel edge. And that gives me a start. They look kind of crazy already there, but I'm going to fill them in a bit. So off of each little frond, and you could go to a smaller brush, I just put just kind of start at the middle where I've made my little line, and I sort of come out. That way my brush has a little more paint on it, a little more pressure, and then I lift it so you can see I've got these nice little spiky bits going from thick to thin. And again, this could be the way you want to do your silhouette. You don't have to even go further, but again, I like to add a little more to it, make it a little more realistic than just the black silhouette. And so, pretty easy. I just kind of get those little fronds in the dark, dark green, and again, it could almost look black sometimes. And then they're pretty well placed, and I just go with a lighter green and then maybe a very lime green on top, a few little strokes, just to give it that little highlight. It's a very simple scene. You could paint it, even if you're not a painter, if you have some craft paint, you want to try it, watch the recording, kind of work along. I find most times it's nice to watch first and then maybe paint afterwards. And now I'm going to just dry the brush off, get into a lighter green, maybe just adding yellow to my brush makes it a lighter green. And I'm just going to go here and there making those strokes. Now, you could use a liner brush to do this if a flat was not doing it for you. You do need a flat brush that has a pretty good chisel edge and it's not one of all the kind of straggly ones. But a liner brush, a rigger brush, a round brush, you can do it if you're more comfortable. So you can just see I've still got my dark there, but I've got a little bit of light showing. I'm just quickly going over the little palm fronds with my lighter green. Following the shape I already did, so it's kind of no-brainer. You're just going to go along and kind of have fun with it. I also I'll go with a little bit lighter green, but then I like to here and there put in a light blue. Kind of just works, like a tealy blue maybe, which carries the color of your water up. I do like incorporating all the colors I've been using throughout the painting, so it just makes it a little more cohesive. I'll sometimes put a little bit of that light blue into the sand. I can bring a little light blue up onto the sand, making it look like a little bit of a wave that's coming up even. So same color, I'm just got a very lime green here. I'm adding a tiny bit of white. White really makes your colors a little more opaque, so this little bit of white to that lime green is going to make these pop. And I only want to put a few, because if I did it everywhere, it wouldn't be so such a surprise for your eyes. So here and there, I'm going to just put a few of these brighter, like the sunlight, the sunset, the light is just hitting those little dark palm fronds just here and there. So I don't want to do it every single petal. I don't want to do it everywhere, but especially against the dark, it really does show up. So isn't that a little better than just having this black silhouette? It's dark still, but it's just not like a black outline. I'm going to do a few of those teal blue strokes, just a few. I just use my blue and green again, but if I add white, I can get a beautiful teal. And if you put it on and it doesn't work, then you know it's too light or too dark, and you can just adjust it. Like I want it to really look teal, not just white. I want to make sure you see that blue in it. And just a few here and there. And I'll hold this up for you close in a second so you can see. I'm trying to do it this way so you can see, and then I've got my hand right in your face there. So can you see now how a few of the little blue strokes kind of just tie it all together? I just like the way it looks. Hey Daryl! Hello my friend. I have so many friendly faces and friends and family tuning in this morning. I'm so excited. That's great. Okay, only thing I really need on my palm trees is, again, I'm keeping them a little dark. I'm going to take that brown eye mix, maybe put a little bit of ivory with it, get a little bit of a lighter brown, and I'm just going to, with just little strokes, because if I just use little flat strokes like this, it sort of goes with my square strokes. And just on the one side of the palm tree, I'm just making these little, like almost a little square strokes sometimes. They kind of go, they look like the bark a little bit. Sometimes I just bring it along the edge. And that's all I need, because I do want this to be sort of on the dark side. That's it for the trees, I believe. Pretty close to being done. I'm going to put those little highlights in the water and those little sparkles. I do actually take and do just what I did for the fronds. I might want to, because they're not really planted down in that sand, they're just kind of stuck there. So I will do the same process and just make some grasses coming up. So it's the same thing, it's just the dark green, and then I'm going to go over it with the different shades. But doesn't it sort of plant those trees a little more, just having something coming up, something organic growing there? And again, just getting a little bit lighter with the green. Now, I would probably finesse this a little more if I was, taking more than 45 minutes. But basically, that's all you need. Sometimes the quicker you go, the better you are. You're not overthinking your painting. Put down what you see, leave it, and really that sometimes are the best paintings come out the best that way. Where are we for time? We've got like 12 minutes. We could paint another painting probably. I'm going to try to look at some comments too. Stephanie's watching. Thank you guys. Let's see. Oh, Sandy, I would love it. And if you paint it, you guys, please post them and show me. I also have a link in the description to my private free community. I have some paid memberships, but I have a free community. And you can get some little tutorials there. You can also find some of my tutorials over on YouTube. But if you go to that link in the description for my Mighty Networks group, I'd love to have you over there. It's a little easier to be seen, and it's a great community. So I'm encouraging you to follow, but please share your work too. Oh, Patricia, thank you. Nice. It's relaxing for me too, although it's a little stressful when I'm ready to jump on and don't know exactly what I'm going to paint and will it fit in 45 minutes, but it certainly usually works. I'm going to add some little bits to the water, but I want to show you, I showed you these from Monday, which I loved. I did a really fun thing this past Sunday. The Orlando Urban Sketchers had a workshop with a woman, Maru, urban sketcher from Barcelona. And so we spent the day with her, and she's got a fun, funky, whimsical style. And it was so fun. It was like playing, because it was like, oh, you don't have to worry about perspective. You don't have to worry about this or that color. It was so, I paint that way a little bit, but not as, I don't push the envelope as far as she does, but it was so fun just to say, well, I really like pink, so I'm going to do that. And I'm not going to worry about everything I see in the scene. I'm going to narrow it down. So I'll show you my fun little sketches from that workshop. So I wouldn't have done pink buildings probably. Actually, my church looks like a dunce cap, but you know what? We had so much fun just playing. It was with gouache, which I love, but I have not used a lot, so it was really fun to explore with that. Gouache is acrylic, a water-based paint. I used to use it a lot when I did more illustrating and things. It covers really well, but it dries really fast, and it's a little iffy to work with, but I really love the way I painted the beach before, and then I could put the people on right on top because the gouache is so opaque. I didn't have to use like 1,000 coats of acrylic to get it to cover, so it was cool. Hey Fatima, Dolores. So that was Sunday. That was a lot of fun. I'm a big sketcher. I love to urban sketch, which is going out in your city and sketching what you see. There are chapters all over the country, all over the world actually. It's international. And I love to go with the Orlando group when I can. I also plein air paint a lot, which I love plein air painting. So you'll see my adventures in North Carolina at the end of the month. But I also am offering a workshop. I just posted it yesterday. I know it looks like a complicated painting, but I'm going to take you through it step by step. We're going to do it 3 days live, but recorded, so you can watch. You could, if you can't make it live, it's no big deal. You can find the recordings and work at your own pace. But I had such a reaction to this painting when I posted it, like thousands. It was crazy. I thought, it'd be nice for a workshop. So it's huge. You don't have to paint it this big, but it is my big Luna Moth painting. It's a square canvas, gallery wrapped. I'd suggest maybe doing it at 12 by 12 or 20 by 20. This is 24. But remember, if you take it step by step, I'll take you from the background, a little wash of blue, come with your trees forward, and then I'm going to go over, and you don't have to do it. This is pretty detailed, and I don't often work this detailed, but I will take you through it, and you could do it even a little bit less with the detail and more with the color. Hi Jenny, I don't have a group of urban sketches up there, but I'm always out sketching, so I'm going on my way to Orlando for a few days here, and I just packed up my sketchbook, but I'll show that to you. Maybe next time we could do something with sketching, because it's not complicated. It's quick little quirky sketches that I do in pencil, then I just ink them and just throw a little wash of watercolor. Let's do that next week on my segment. Oh, Cindy, did you like it? Because I'm up in the air. I have it right here. Let me show it to you. So this, you guys, if there's any interest for that workshop, it's on my page. But you know what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to just post the link in the comments there. The giraffe. Now, is it too busy? You guys can help me because I'm wondering. So I just wanted to do a giraffe eating an ice cream cone. I don't know why, but anyways. So I really have used my square brush strokes on that giraffe because it kind of goes with the square pattern of them. I did a really, really colorful spattered background. I don't know if that's too much with the busyness of the ice cream and the giraffe, but if people want to, this is going to be in my art membership. This is going to be in the membership, Cindy, in June. Hey, Linda, thank you. Good. And I know you were going to say, Linda, what we could have a camel eating a cone. We could. But do you think that's okay? And if not, I'm going to offer it, but people could paint a very simple background if they want. But I couldn't decide. Sometimes I do things and I love them right away, and sometimes I'm like, But I'm glad you guys like it. Okay, cool. So that is something that's in my art membership. I have 2 art memberships. I'm going to give you a little commercial ad right here. I paint, you could paint with me on my Cardist membership, and we paint together live, usually 2 times a month, and you get a recording. It's a wonderful community. There's a community that you join, other artists. They're wonderful. We have all kinds of fun things going on there. If you want to simply get started and just do one painting a month, I have a recording that goes to you once a month. Yeah, Linda, you know what? I know I promised you for years, so I'll work up a quick camel, and you can substitute the camel. Shorter, use a smaller canvas. Use more like a rectangle shape than that long one, and that would work better. So yes, we'll do that. That I was going to do this month, but with the workshop, I'm going to do that one in June for you. So anyways, if you wanted to just join, like it's one painting recording a month that goes to you, and it's kind of fun, but we do have the free communities too, so I love it if you just follow me anyway. Let's finish up our little painting here. So I'm going to just put in those lines that I couldn't really get into the water because it was wet. I've got green paint all over me. We're going to put those little white lines and those little speckles for the sparkles, and we're going to put some pink back in there and get the reflection. Now the reflection's a little hidden. I guess I didn't mean to cover my sunset up completely with the trees, because usually I like to have them showing, but I went over them, so it is what it is. But I still need to put a little bit of yellow and orange into the water to be a reflection of that. A little bit more yellow paint. How do we look on time, you guys? It is, oh, we got 5 minutes. So I got time for my sharing and my spiel, and usually I don't have time for any of that. And I like to chit-chat sometimes with you guys, and sometimes I'm just so powering through to make sure I finish the project. Oh, Linda, you're so kind. I have the best members, actually, in the world. Look at some of my members here. There's Linda, and there's Lisa, and there's Charlotte, and Cindy. We do have fun, and it's fun for me. I just come up with new paintings and variety. So if you like florals, there's plenty. If you want to just do still lifes or animals or whimsy, I really mix it up. I give you kind of a lot, and it's not to keep up with. It's so that you can pick what you like. I don't want to overwhelm you, but I want to make sure everybody has what they like if I possibly can. So see how I'm just making little with the chisel edge of the brush. I'm just making little broken lines for that reflection. You don't have to overwork it. Reflections seem like they're hard, but just be very simple. I might do a little bit of orange over there and as well. Maybe a little orange. That's not really very orange. Let's get a little more orange than that. I'm kind of mimicking what the colors are that I see here. I want to get back in and get some of the pink in there if you lose it. And the water I tend to, because I'm going back and forth. Get a little bit of pink. And if I've lost it anywhere, I can just sort of put some little lines. In any lines, I can put some lime green in here. I can get some light teal. I'm just going to get that the way I want it to look. Let's see, how does it look? It's very rough because I'm painting upside down, but it does the trick. And here you could do, if you want to do some lighter shades of your ground there. It could be just about anything. But I think that's basically gives you an idea. What do you guys think? Now, doesn't that seem doable? Oh, the little tiny sparkles are my favorite part. I use a little stylus, but a toothpick works. The end of your brush works. The back end of your brush works. But I don't do them, again, it's not something you put everywhere, because if you did, it wouldn't be special anymore. So I will go to where I have kind of a white cap, and I'll just start doing some little speckles. I might hop over here and do a few. And I just love, and it's hard for me to stop and not keep going overdo it, but I just want to get a few. And can you see now, doesn't that just look like fun little sparkles? I think it does need another little bit over here. Now, if we were being perfectly realistic, you wouldn't be seeing them. Well, you might. When you look off into the ocean, you do see the sunlight dancing sometimes off the water, and it does look like sparkles. So it's a little rough, you guys, but it gives me an idea. It gives you some ideas. Like I would finesse it a little more with more little brush strokes of the broken color down here. I kind of flew along a little bit faster onto the sky. But you get the notion. So I always take a picture of this afterwards. I'll take a picture maybe of some of the other ones, and I'll post them, and I'll share the video. So the recording's always here, you guys. You can always find the recording to paint later. And if you have any questions while you're painting, just send me a message, and I'm here to help you. You can send me a photo and say, oh, I'm stuck, what do I do? that's what I'm here for. So thank you guys all. It's just about time for me to go. I would love it if you stick around for all the wonderful crafters and creators we have coming up today for you. All day Wednesday, all day every weekday. And you might have to refresh your page. I sometimes have to wait a minute and refresh the page. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you guys. Thanks, Eileen, for watching. I'm glad to get some feedback on the giraffe because I was a little iffy about that. And then we are painting, so we're doing that big Luna Moth in the membership. So if you're a member, if you're in my paid membership, you get that whole workshop for free. That's 3 days. We are painting that. We are also, what else are we painting, you guys? I just sent the calendar out last night and I'm already like wondering what we're painting. But you guys know, and it'll be fun. We do all kinds of cool things. I gotta run. I'll see you next week. Let's work on sketching next week. We'll work on our sketchbooks. Okay, bye guys.